Welcome to lesson 53 of our interactive notes. You will need a highlighter or something light to shade with. Your pencil can work though. Alright, so we are now on the back of our table of contents. Lesson 53, locate decimals on a number line. Pages 55 and 56. Alright, so our content objective for 4th grade NF numbers, operations, fractions, C6. I can use decimals to show fractions with denominators of 10 and 100. Language objective, I can use vocabulary related to fractions and decimals to explain how to place the decimal on a number line. Social objective, I can work with others to create models to prove how to place the decimals on a number line. Alright, so here what we have is this is a bar of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if this were a number line, this would be my 0 to 1, and this would be 1/10, 2/10, 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, and then 10/10 or 1 whole. Well, each tenth could then be cut into 10 more pieces to make hundredths. So what we have represented here in this bar, which we could also look at as a number line, is we have 1 2/10, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. Well, remember when we add together fractions, they have to have a common denominator. So I need to rename this one as 20 hundredths, multiplying both by 10, and 5 hundredths, and what we get is 25 hundredths. Then as a decimal, we have 2 placeholders, so that means we need to have 2 places after the decimal. The last digit goes in the last place, then we fill it in. So 25 hundredths, 25 hundredths. Okay, same thing here. This is a bar model basically, and we can look at it as a number line from 0 to 1 whole. This is 1/10, that whole piece. This whole piece is 2/10. This one is 3/10, 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, 10/10. So we're looking at these same size pieces. Now this piece has been cut into 10 more pieces. If each one of these was cut into 10 pieces, 10 times 10 is 100. We'd have 100 of these little rectangles. What we have right now is 5/10, and then 1, 2, 3 hundredths. To add fractions, I need the same denominator, so I need to rename this so it has 100 in the denominator. To do that, I can multiply by 10. So 50 hundredths is the same as 5/10. 5 dimes is the same as 50 pennies. Now I can add it together. I have 53 hundredths. Then as a decimal, I have 2 placeholders, so I need 2 places. I put the 3 in the last place, and then the 5, and that 0, just so we don't ignore that decimal. So another way to look at it In my decimal, I have 5/10, so 5 goes in the tenths place. And 3/100, 3 goes in the hundredths place. Over here, I have 2/10, so 2 goes in the tenths place. And 5/100, 5 goes in the hundredths place. Alright, so here's some different ways that we can look at fractions and decimals. Here we're looking at the decimal 3 and 9/10. To find that, though, we're going between the whole numbers of 3 and 4, not 0 and 1. So this would be 3 and 1/10. You want to write these kind of small. Sorry, the focus is having trouble here. 3 and 2/10, 3 and 3/10, 3 and 4/10, 3 and 5/10, 3 and 6/10, 3 and 7/10, 3 and 8/10, 3 and 9/10. Then we have 3 and 10/10, which would be 4 whole. So on the number line, our dot would go right here to represent 3 and 9/10. There would be 3 whole sections of this before you get to this. But we just look at the piece we need for now. As a mixed number, we have 3 whole. We have 1 place after the decimal, so we need 1 placeholder in our denominator. 9/10, 9/10, so 3 and 9/10. Expanded form, you're going to get used to seeing this in 5th grade. We have 3 groups of 1. And so that's that expanded. 9 groups of 1/10. So 3 groups of 1, that's what this means. 9 groups of 1/10, that's what this means. So we're just representing what each place actually means. How many more to get to the next whole number? Well, I need to just go 1 more space, or 1/10 to get to 4. Okay, 17 and 5/10. Well, as a decimal, we have 17 whole. I have 1 placeholder in the denominator, so 1 place, and the 5 goes there. So 17 and 5/10. On our number line, we're going to go between 17 and 18. So 17 and 1/10, 17 and 2/10, 17 and 3/10, 17 and 4/10, 17 and 5/10, 17 and 6/10, 17 and 7/10, 17 and 8/10, 17 and 9/10. So 17 and 5/10 is right here. So what are we going to represent for our expanded form? So this place is the tens place, and we have 1 group of 10. This is the ones place, so we have 7 groups of 1. And this is our last one. We have 5 groups of 1/10. How many do we need to get to the next whole number? We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/10, because we're halfway. So now we're going to go backwards from what we did here. So we have 7 tens. We have 4 ones. So 74. 7 tens, 4 ones is 74. And we have 7 tenths. So 74. We have 1 decimal there, so 1 placeholder, so we have 1 place after our decimal, and the 7 goes there. So 74 and 7/10. So on our number line, we're going between 74 and 75, 74.1, 74.2, 74.3, 74.4, We haven't been doing hundredths on this, but it would work similarly. We would just put a placeholder between that decimal and the digit there to move it to the hundredths. And we go from tenth to tenth. But the main reason we've been just doing tenths is because hundredths are very, very small. Oops, that's an 8. 74 and 9/10, and then 75. So 74 and 7/10 is right here. How many to get to the next whole number? 1, 2, 3/10. Alright, so here we're going to represent these mixed numbers in both our model and our number line. So first, our model, we have one whole, so it doesn't matter what it's broken down into really, because it's the whole thing shaded in. So 10/10 are one whole, and then 15 hundredths. So there's 1/10 and 5 hundredths, or 15 hundredths. And on our number line here, we're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're looking at this piece here. On these number lines, this is similar to what we're doing. We do have the whole units in front, but sometimes we just need to represent the part in between. So we're going between 1 and 2, because it's greater than 1. And this would be 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. I don't see a 1.15 because this is only cut into tenths. To be cut into hundredths, we would need 100 of these. So we've got to think, where would 15 tenths be? Well, another way we could look at it is 1 in 10 hundredths, 1 in 20 hundredths, 30 hundredths, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and then 200. You can look at it as counting by 10. Well, 15 is between 10 hundredths and 20 hundredths. So I'd put it actually right here. This is where we have 1 and 15 hundredths. Halfway between 1 and 10 hundredths and 1 and 20 hundredths, or 1 and 1/10 and 1 and 2/10. Okay, here we're going to look at this one. We have 2 whole, and 47 hundredths. Right, 2 whole and 47 hundredths. So 2 and 47 hundredths. So if I look at my number line, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to look at just this section between 2 and 3, because it's greater than 2, less than 3. So 2 and 10 hundredths, or 2 and 1/10. 2 and 20 hundredths, 2 and 2/10. 2 and 30 hundredths, 2 and 40 hundredths, 2 and 50 hundredths, 2 and 60 hundredths, 2 and 70 hundredths, 2 and 80 hundredths, 2 and 90 hundredths, and then 3 whole. Well, 47, to get hundreds, I would actually have to cut each of these up into 10 pieces too. So this is going to be approximate, not exact. But 47 would be between 40 and 50. So 2 and 47 hundredths, and it'll be a little closer to 50, but it's harder to tell because it's such a small space. But it will be in between the two to get 2 and 47 hundredths. Alright, so let's go ahead and practice more with our 3-column notes and using number lines to identify those decimals.